So you've jumped on Splice, you found yourself a sweet vocal, but it's dry. And you add it to your song and it sounds like garbage, and you're saying to yourself, how do I make it sound good?
And I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you. And I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you. And I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time, it's true.
Well, that's exactly what I'm going to do in this video. I'm going to show you guys how to process your own dry vocals to make them fit perfectly into your song and make them unique and you. With that said, let's dive straight into it. So, the first thing we have to do is actually make sure that the vocal is consistent in volume. In order to do that, drag a compressor onto your vocal sample, and let's listen before compression actually.
I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you.
That's before compression. Now to compress it and make it sound more consistent, let's turn makeup off, make sure we have the ratio set to around 2:1, and then listen and lower this threshold until we get a little bit of gain reduction.
I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you.
You can see it just got a little bit of gain reduction there, and you could kind of hear the ducking in volume on the loud parts. If you have a really loud vocal, a vocal sample which has some really loud parts and some really quiet parts, you can add a second compressor, and you can make this like 5:1. Turn the makeup off and tickle it again just until it tickles it again.
I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you.
Make sure not to go too much,
I've been out of my mind, I've been out.
because it will kill your sample.
I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind.
This vocal is actually reasonably compressed already, so I don't need to go too much, but you can use your ears and you can kind of hear once you have too much compression. Alright, so the next step is to add some EQ. So grab an EQ8, drag that on. Depending on the style of song you're making will depend how you EQ it. In this song, you can hear that it has a lot of synths with a lot of low bass in it. So I want to remove some of that bass from these vocals. If I was producing a song that was very acoustic and it had guitars or just a guitar and a vocal, or like maybe a synth and a vocal, I would leave a lot of the low frequencies in the vocal. But in this example, I want to remove them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to slowly raise the threshold up as the song is playing, and then once I hear it starting to affect the sample, I'm going to lower it back down a little bit.
I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you. I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you.
So I got rid of all of these low frequencies in here, and you can't even tell. That's going to make it seem a lot cleaner. Another thing that you can do is boost some of these high frequencies to help it cut through the mix. So same thing, grab this node, maybe put a little bit of a Q on it like that, 5 dB, 4-5 dB, and let's have a listen.
And I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you.
You can also move it across like this until you find a nice sweet spot for the vocal.
And I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you.
Kind of sounds nice there, I think, for now. So we have the compression to get it all sounding consistent, the EQ to remove and boost some of the frequencies. Now we want to make sure that it's actually sitting in key. Oh, sorry, before we do that, we want to make sure that we have no sounds in there that we don't want to hear. So I thought I heard something in here. Yeah, static at the end there. And there's also some, hear that static in there? I don't want that crap. So to get rid of that, you can grab a utility, drag a utility on, right click, show automation, and you can see the automation lane here. And now I think we're gonna put the automation maybe in here somewhere.
And I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you.
Cool, no more of that crap. Now we can get onto pitch shifting, pitch correction rather. So come into your plugins. I like using Wave Tunes real time, but there are actually some free pitch correction plugins out there that you can use. To do this, we have to find out what key our actual sample is in. So you can see here, we've got DM, that means it's in D minor. So I'm gonna click D, minor, and then I'm gonna lower this note transition down and the speed down, just to show you this example.
And I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you.
You can hear how it was real choppy and jumpy between the notes. To make it sound more organic and natural, you can raise these up a little bit.
And I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you.
Now you can't even tell that it has pitch correction on it, so that is ace.
I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you.
You can hear there's no like S's and T's and things like that. But in this section,
I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time, it's true.
you can hear some really sharp T's and really sharp S's that we want to remove. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this, but the way I like doing it the most is with Ableton's compressor, and you can see here, De-Esser. Now, to make this work, you have to click this little down arrow, click sidechain, and then we have to see what our channel is called, and it's called main here. And then from that drop-down box, I'm going to select main. So it's basically sidechaining itself. And then under this EQ thing here, we want to click this high pass. And this is going to make sure we're only compressing the frequencies above this frequency range here, 6K. Now, if we listen to this section on loop and lower this threshold while it's playing, you'll hear the S's start to lower in volume.
I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time, it's true. I don't have enough time.
So these bumps here, they are the T's and S's.
I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time, it's true.
That's sounding so much cleaner if I play it without it.
I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time, it's true.
They're really loud and they cut through the mix way too much. That was just prepping the vocal to get it ready to add effects, really. That was cleaning it up, making it sound nice and crisp, and now the next step is to add effects and really make it come to life. There's a few different ways we can do that, but my favorite way is actually by duplicating the main vocal and then adding effects to that duplicate. A really quick, easy way that you can do effects just to get an idea down fast is by using return tracks and return tracks. You can see I have a reverb return and a delay return. If you right click, insert return track, it pops up down here. Simply drag whatever you want onto that return track, and now you have a return track there. In your track, you have these three buttons here. Each one of these three buttons responds to these three return tracks. First one is reverb, second one's delay, the third one is the compression. So if I push up this reverb and push up the delay and listen to this now.
I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you.
I find that these effects are really good on instruments and laying ideas down fast, but once you actually want to process your vocals, I like doing it this way I'm about to show you. So click on your main track here, duplicate that track, and then rename this to FX. And I'm going to grab a delay first. And I'm just going to listen to this now, soloed.
I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you.
And you can use this filter here to remove some of the frequencies of the delay itself and make it fit into your song a little bit better.
I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you.
Once you find that a nice sweet spot for that, you can come into reverb. Drag a reverb. Make sure that the reverb isn't set to 100% wet, because if it is, you won't hear the delay. I'm going to lower this down to say like 50-ish somewhere. I'm going to raise the decay time up to about 2 seconds. And I also like to remove all of the low frequencies from the reverb.
I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you.
Makes it sound a little bit cleaner. So that's it. We have our delay, we have our reverb, and if we listen to this with the main vocal, it's probably going to sound a little bit cluttered.
I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you.
Sounds like too much going on in there at once. So what I want to do is I want to automate this dry wet and the feedback to make the effect only happen in this section here. So right click on the dry wet, show automation, and then if we make it activate right in here, add that down to about 20%. And then this one here, we can actually make it fade out. Let's have a listen to that.
I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you.
You can hear that this sounds really clean now, and then this is where your effect comes in. Now, if you want to make this effect even stronger down here, you can right click on your feedback, show automation, and then do the exact same thing in here.
I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you.
Now, if your effects are still kind of coming through over your main vocal, what you can also do is grab another compressor, put it on after your reverb, and we can compress these effects to that main vocal. So same thing, sidechain, main, and then start lowering this threshold while we're soloing this track until you hear the volume of this vocal start getting a bit lower.
I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you. I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you. I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you. I don't have enough time, I don't have enough.
So this vocal now is really cutting through the mix while the effects are pushed back. Now, to emphasize this main vocal even more, we can duplicate it again twice. We're going to call one left, and we're going to call the other right, and then we can pan one, say 30 to the left, and then the other one, say 30 to the right. And then on each one of these ones, we're actually going to lower these down one full octave. So if I lower this down now, you can see how it stretches that sample. But if I click warp, now it doesn't stretch it. So I'm just going to go 12 down, and I'm going to do some EQing. I'm going to change the EQ up on this one. And then on this one here, we're going to do something similar, but we'll probably do an actual different EQ. And we can also delay these two tracks a little bit different from that main one. So I'm going to make this kind of random, but just not too different. And another thing we can do is also detune each one of these vocals separately. Now what this does, all of this stuff makes it feel like we haven't just used the same vocal duplicated. Kind of sounds like we've had different takes at it.
And I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you.
You can hear it just adds that little bit of harmonics to the background, adds a little bit of interest. One other really cool thing you can do is if we grab a utility, drag a utility onto, say, the left track here, right click on the gain, show automation, and we can automate key parts of the vocal that we want to stand out. I want this for you to stand out. So I'm going to highlight all of that, and I'm going to raise this up a little bit, see what that sounds like.
And I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you.
You can hear the for you sounds more in your face. We can even add some of these return tracks with the effects on it as well onto these ones because they're not in your face.
And I've been out of my mind, I've been out of my mind for you.
Alright, so to summarize this whole video, pretty much what you want to do, the first thing you want to do is clean up that main vocal, make it sound as good as you can using compression, EQ, de-essing, pitch correction, and remove all of those unwanted frequencies before or after the vocal. Once you've done that, you can move on to adding effects and making your vocal and processing your vocal to be more unique and more your style. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. If you have a question, leave it in the comments below. Or if you want a whole bunch of free stuff, you can visit my website at offthebeat.com.